Hey, welcome back to Chaplain Chat. And this is cool because we are doing a series on this new book I've got here called Walking It Out. Now, how do I do this God thing? And there is the book. Whoa, look at that right there. And I have the author, Rob, who happens to be my friend, you wrote a book earlier, and it was called, what was the first book?
Surrender the Way Out.
Surrender the Way Out. And this is Walking It Out. How do I do this God thing? And we're going to do a whole series of these chaplain chats on each chapter. So there's going to be a few of these. But Rob, the first chapter of this book is called Here I Am Again. Now, in your first book, you also put this called Rob's Road to the Surrender. And you put this in your first book, and you mentioned here, this is your 28-year process. 28-year process. And you have listed, it's kind of neat, I'll just show it to you right there. See that right there? Okay, of course you can see it. Little highlights of since the time you were 16 up to the time you were 44. Programs you've been in, the ups and downs. But in your first book, you put this about halfway through the book. And this is fascinating to see. This time, you put it right at the beginning of the book. Why at the beginning of the book?
Well, I think it's part of the backdrop for the entire story. For those who, well, it has everything to do with being here again. Being here again, that title, what I'm saying there is, here I am again in another treatment program. I'm 44 years old. Is this ever going to end? In that list, there's a lot of events from arrests to divorces and that kind of thing.
Quite a bit, yeah, the up and down.
But also part of that list is 38 different treatment or recovery programs that I was in, and those were ones that I actually went into. But there was a whole lot of times where I tried to kick and clean up on my own.
This is great.
But the title of the book reflects the whole idea of, here I am again. I'm 44 years old. My life has been utterly destroyed. And I was at a place where I had very little hope.
Rob, at the end of this chapter, I like this, and you don't have to comment, I just want to read it. You said, a friend once told me, God can take the chapters of regret in our life and rewrite them into tales of grace. And I thought that was powerful. Now, at the end of every chapter, in this book, you do something different, which I thought was kind of cool. You have little thoughts from your chapter, little bullet points, or questions we can look at in ourselves. And, I'm probably going to mention this again, but when you talk about addictions and addicts, well, we all have addictions. We all have addicts. I'm seeing myself in this so much. But you have questions, and sometimes they're just, or notes we can write on. But on this into this first chapter, you have 3 questions for us to think about after we read it. And because this is not called Rob Chat, this is called Chaplain Chat, and it's all about me,
So you've got to control it.
Oh, I do, yeah. But I want to, this is so cool because I get to read to the author some of my responses from your questions. Because the question number 1, after reading this chapter, it says, how many attempts to change your life have you made? That was interesting thinking about that. Now, Rob, I've been up and down on my weight, seems like all my life. I gain weight, gain weight, and I'm good right now, but so I've lost track of how many times I've said, I'm going to stay in shape, and then I back and forth. So no comment, but that's just comment. The other thing, since Gail and I have been married, we've been married about 33 years, I'm thinking about churches I've served. And Gail and I have served in 6 churches since before I became a chaplain. 6 churches. And I think maybe every one of those was an attempt to start a new life or start something over and be. And I don't know, maybe, well, the second question is, describe what success you've had. And I don't know, Rob, I've often wondered if maybe I was if God only designed me to be a pastor for 2 or 3 years. See, when we're going to seminary, It's like long term, stay in there, long term, long term. I'm not sure every pastor is geared for long term. I don't know if every church wants a long term pastor. I don't know. But it seemed like I was going good, whatever that means in ministry, for 2 or 3 years, and then things started to go downhill. And so I would say 2 or 3 years I seem to be successful in a place. The weight thing, it's been about 2 or 3 years, and I don't know if the two connect, but those are successes. The last question is, what if anything is making a difference this time? And that was good, Rob, because I wanted to ask myself, what is making a difference in my life? And this time, Rob, I'm staying with people, connecting with people that are helping me keep it real with God. Some of them are in the jail I'm meeting as a chaplain. But Rob, there's some people I'm meeting outside the jail. Strong Christian. Now, Gail has always been that for me in my life for 33 years, helping me keep it real with God. But I'm meeting with others now that are helping me keep it real with God. And Rob, you're one of them. So that's all I wanted to make a comment on, and here I am again. Was your thoughts on that chapter you had? Or you want to respond back to anything I've shared?
The recovery process, and that's primarily what I'm dealing with here. But I think, we all have stuff, whether it looks like addiction or whether it looks like other life issues. We all have stuff, and we all have things that we struggle with, that we're looking for God to bring us into a healthier place or a more effective place. I think at some point we have to be desperate for God's help.
Wow.
And we have to be willing to do things God's way. And I know, speaking from my own life struggle, I struggled with addiction for 28 years. And it wasn't until I surrendered to God at a level that I had never done before and was willing to do things His way that I really began to experience the freedom and the liberty that God had for me. So whatever our issues are, whatever we're struggling with, are we now at the place where we're willing to do things God's way, no matter what? For me, I had gotten to the place where I was determined I was not going to get ripped off again. I had tried to get my life right countless times, and I had always crashed and burned at some point. And it's been almost 17 years now, and that I've been clean and sober and walking a surrendered life with God. And it's only coming to God on His terms and being desperately willing to do things God's way, no matter what, where we can walk in the liberty in those areas of our life where we've struggled and had little or no success.
Wow. Rob, the next chapter, which we're going to do on another Chaplain chat, they're all really great. It's called Heart of Stone, and that's what we're going to talk about next time, because your heart of stone had to be melted. And that's the next chapter. But here I am again. This is the book, walking it out. How do I do things? How do I do this God thing? And Rob's the author of this book. And I'm always going to want to share with people how to get this book. They can go to Amazon.com, I guess.
You can go to Amazon. You can go to my website, robflammang.com.
Okay.
And there's links there that you can get it, or anywhere books are sold.
Yeah. And this is cool. We're going to do a whole series of these. And Rob, I want to thank you again. And guys, I want to thank you for watching. And Rob, I want to thank you for being on
Chaplain Chat.
All right. There's number 2.